Mr. De La Cruz just hung up the phone looking very happy. Using my skills, I just transferred over $10 million through 4 countries and 12 banks, and successfully laundered his funds and protected him from any government investigations. My name is Tony Cardone. I have become well known and respected as someone who is excellent at moving money, hiding funds, and protecting people from prosecution and going to jail. I never ask where the money comes from, and I never interfere with their business to protect myself from the feds and keep my moral compass in the right direction. Oh, I know what these people do for a living, but I believe in the rule, don't ask, then you won't be lied to. The work I do has brought me a good amount of money, and using my own strategies, I have 16 bank accounts in 8 countries, 10 crypto wallets, and a company that owns my house, cars, pays all my bills and expenses. I receive a salary from the company of $50,000 per year, which I use for unexpected expenses. The company makes a small profit every year to remain legal in the eyes of the tax authorities. This strategy also protects me from any civil suits, lawsuits, or divorces, since I show little net worth and very little income on the books. Many of my clients understand my value and offer me things that I cannot accept as thanks for solving their money problems. They offer me women, drugs, trips, protection, just about anything you can imagine. Until now, I haven't taken anything from them. My current situation has created a need for me to accept some help with surveillance, protection, and some aspects of force. My business friends were glad that they could finally help me and thanked me for the work I did for them. My wife, Jen, considers me a financial advisor, which I am. I am a certified financial advisor. She doesn't know how much I earn, what my funds are, or any of my offshore accounts. All she knows is that the company is paying off the mortgage on the $5 million property, cars, and expenses. She never really asks it because she doesn't have to work, drives a new luxury car every year, and has an unlimited budget for shopping and entertainment. I thought that Jen was happy and loved being with me throughout the 5 years of our marriage. Jen was great in bed, where we often had loving sex several nights each week. She was wild in bed. She knew how to turn me on and excite me. In turn, I satisfied her. Fun, fantasy, sex, and love were a great combination, and I was living in paradise. But apparently, my paradise was about to experience a Category 5 hurricane. Jen and I dated for 2 years and got married at the tender age of 25. We've been married for 5 years. Jen just turned 30 years old, and with her big round breasts, long, sexy legs, and amazing figure, she could easily be any man's dream trophy wife. Blonde hair and amazing blue eyes can charm any man. She was always looked at by men and constantly pestered, but she did not respond to any of their advances and happily showed off her engagement ring and 3-carat diamond ring, letting them know that she was married. Before we got married, I found out that in college, she dated a man named Josh Winters. She was madly in love with Josh, but he wasn't ready to settle down. Instead, Josh enlisted in the Marines, and their relationship eventually fizzled out. Now I found out that 8 years later, Josh Winters left the service and returned to our city, and Jen could not get over her love for him. When Josh returned from his 2 tours, he, of course, sought out old friends, including my wife. Jen had always been under his spell, and after he got her cell phone number from a mutual friend, he texted and called her, trying to meet up like old times. It was 6 weeks ago when Jen started acting differently, probably out of guilt for communicating with Josh and keeping it a secret. Excessive attention and additional sexual games with me were pleasant, but unusual for Jen. She was always attentive and cheerful, but it was clear from her actions that something had changed. I didn't wait and paid closer attention to Jen. That weekend, one of our friends mentioned Josh at a barbecue and said he was back in town. I asked when he returned, and it coincided with the changes I noticed in Jen. The next day, I called one of my business friends and told him what was going on and that I might need his help. He was excited that he could finally do something for me after all the money I made for him and how I kept him out of trouble with the feds. I gave him all the names and information, and he told me that they would contact me soon. Who knows what these guys do, but they very quickly gave me a 4-inch dossier on Josh Winters containing almost his entire life history and information. Everything from a copy of his birth certificate to his college records to his family tree to his military records. I knew more about this guy than his own mother. I also received a daily printout of his text messages, including over 15 per-day messages to my wife. I was told not to ask where they got this information. At first, the messages were friendly and what you would expect from an old friend. But after the first week, they became sexual. I was glad to see Jen put a stop to his advances. But after another week of his persistence, he was finally able to overcome the barriers, and she began to flirt back. My anger towards this predator grew because I knew Jen still had feelings for this creep, and I knew there was trouble ahead. After 4 weeks of him flirting and texting, he convinced Jen to meet him for lunch. The dude even had the nerve to ask her to wear something sexy for him because he missed her so much. To my horror, she agreed and even asked if she should forget her panties, just like old times. I spat as my anger reached a level I hadn't felt in a long time. I asked my business partners for advice, and they gave me some ideas on how to deal with this guy. We agreed that it would be best for me to meet them face to face while they were together at lunch, with someone nearby for protection if needed. Of course, we knew exactly what time and where they would meet from my friend's surveillance group, which was helping me with this problem. I entered the restaurant and found them sitting in a secluded area. Jen was wearing a sexy dress with a very low cut and no bra, which made me furious again. They sat with their backs to the restaurant, sitting together on one side of a private booth. They looked pretty cozy. I saw a man following me who I assumed was one of my bodyguards as I approached their table. My wife and her beau both looked at me when I said hello. "Hey, Jenny," I said, sliding into the booth across from them. The large man who had been watching me was now sitting 3 tables away from me. Looking at Jen with a friendly smile, I asked, "Aren't you going to introduce me to your friend?" The scene was intense as I sat there looking into Jen's eyes. Josh looked at me with a confused expression, but my wife looked at me with a mixed expression of shock and guilt. They continued to sit side by side, holding hands on the table. After she realized what was happening, she tried to free her hand from Josh's, but he now held it tightly, giving me a smile that turned into a smirk, showing me that she was with him. This self-confident scoundrel had no intention of backing down. "Honey, this is Josh Winters. Josh, this is my husband, Tony." I've never seen her so nervous. Josh seemed to find it funny and didn't say a word and just kept giving me a knowing smirk as if to say, "I've got your wife, and there's nothing you can do about it, buddy." Without wasting any time, I just looked at Jen and said, trying to remain calm, "I hate to disturb your dinner, but I need to talk to my wife for a few minutes alone. Could you let her out of the stall?" He reluctantly let go of her hand and walked out of the booth, allowing her to leave. She stood up, clutching her purse to her bare chest, standing between Josh and me, looking scared and worried. I took her hand and led her to the back of the restaurant, towards the restrooms. Still nervous and feeling guilty about being caught like this with Josh, she walked quietly without saying a word. I dragged her into the empty men's room and started talking. "Jen, you're not wearing a bra, and your tits are just sticking out in that dress. You're dressed like a fallen woman, and I don't understand why you're so disrespectful to me." She stood there and cried without saying a word. Then I lifted the hem of her dress to make sure she really wasn't wearing panties. She saw my expression of horror and then rage. Holding the dress above her waist, I turned her around to face the mirror and forced her to look at her reflection without panties. "No panties? Is this how you dress when I'm not around? Jen, what the fuck are you up to? Are you turning into a fallen woman? This is unacceptable behavior from my wife." She screamed, pulling her dress down to cover her nakedness. "No, it's not what it looks like. I know how it sounds, but I have a good explanation. And then you will understand." I promised to explain. In a commanding and dark voice that she had never heard from me before, I spoke slowly, emphasizing every word. "Obviously, we need to discuss this. If you have any hope of staying married to me, you will do exactly what I say. If you don't do this, then don't bother coming home because our marriage will end. Right now, you're going to grab your purse and walk out of here, looking straight ahead and not looking at your boyfriend. You'll go straight to your car, drive home, put on the coffee pot, and wait for me to come back. I will be no more than 10 minutes late. You shouldn't text or call your boyfriend or anyone else until we talk. I'm going to talk to your boyfriend and explain why you had to leave. I noticed that she didn't look me in the eyes, and I guess it was because she felt guilty about being caught like that. And one more thing, when you arrive home, don't change your clothes and stay in this dress. I want you to wait for me in the same form as now. If you don't fulfill my request, then don't even come home tonight. Then I'll call you later and tell you how things will develop from now on. Oh my God, what have I done? When Josh came to me, I was glad to know that he was safe and not in the military, as I had always been concerned about his safety. Josh was my first love, and it took me a long time to forget him after he left me many years ago. We moved away from each other, and although there was no longer love between us, I still thought about him. I know I love Tony, and he has been the love of my life since we met. I would never want to lose him or hurt him. That's why this sucks so much. Damn, Josh started flirting and saying things to me that he knew would turn me on. He always had a way of getting me to do things and act like a schoolgirl, and I hated the fact that I couldn't resist. I tried to push him away, but his constant flirting and sexual messages wore me down until I finally agreed to meet him for lunch. Talking to him made me feel so guilty and mean. I knew I shouldn't do this and that I should tell Tony about Josh coming back to town and that we talked, but I kept it a secret and I regret it more than anyone can imagine. Josh has a way of making me feel like I belong with him, and when he asked me to wear something sexy, I said yes. I knew it was wrong and that I shouldn't even go to lunch with him, let alone wear that dress, but I knew I would do it. What made me suggest you come without panties? Am I really that shallow and stupid? Yes. When we were dating, he always insisted that I not wear them. And now when he invited me to lunch, it was like old memories just came back and became normal. I almost said no because I felt so guilty. But a text from Josh saying he couldn't wait to meet me set me on this path. It was hard not to tell Tony, but I just figured one dinner for old time's sake wouldn't be a big deal. Just for a couple of hours, just like old times, just like he said. Josh knew how to get me to do things even when I didn't want to. I'll be honest, when I saw him in the restaurant, I felt horny. I knew we had a special chemistry, and now he looked sexier than even I remembered. 8 years in the Marine Corps created such a mass of beautiful muscles that any woman could dream of. My face turned red as he kissed me and helped me sit in a private booth. It was like old times. We laughed, and it felt like he never left. I felt happy and excited to be around him, and when he took my hand in his on the table, I felt safe and warm. We were only there for a few minutes, laughing and having fun, when out of nowhere, Tony appeared in front of us. And the next thing I knew, he suddenly sat down right in front of us with a sadistic smile on his face that sent a chill down my spine. I felt my heart stop as I realized what I was doing and what it all looked like. When Tony looked down at us holding hands, my world fell apart. I saw the pain and anger in his eyes, and I wanted to jump over the table and hug him and tell him how much I loved him and take away his pain. I could never intentionally hurt Tony, but that's exactly what happened. The way he looked at me with disgust and contempt broke my heart. The man I love and have been with for the last 5 years was looking at me with another man, a former lover. I didn't know what to do and sat there, frozen and speechless. When Tony said he wanted to talk to me, my heart broke because I expected him to tell me it was over between us. When he pulled me into the men's room, I didn't know what to expect. And then when he lifted my dress to reveal the fact that I wasn't wearing panties, I nearly fainted. I can only imagine what he was thinking, and at that moment, I felt like such a fallen and cheating wife. When he told me to go home and wait for him, I remember how it sounded. The way he behaved scared me to the core. I knew I had to listen to him to save our marriage and make him understand why I did this. I have to fix this and just agree to whatever he says. Then, when he said he was going to talk to Josh alone, I was afraid for him. Josh is much larger than Tony, and with 8 years of Marine training, I was afraid that Tony might get hurt. I wanted to tell him not to do this, but I was confused. I tried to apologize, but Tony just told me again to go home and that he would be there soon. Then, when he told me not to change my clothes, I realized that I was in trouble and that it would be difficult for me to explain my actions. How did I let Josh talk me into this? I didn't want him in my life. I just wanted to relive old times and have some fun, but looking at it from Tony's point of view, I looked like I was about to have sex with Josh. Crap. How can I fix this? I felt like everyone was looking at me as I walked through the restaurant to my car. I didn't dare look at Josh, and I knew he was wondering where I was going. It took me a few minutes before I stopped crying enough to drive home. It was the longest trip I remember. Seeing the pain in Tony's eyes made me cry again. How could I do this to him? I can't believe I let Josh manipulate me like that. And somehow, I have to get Tony to understand and forgive me. Damn, I'm so screwed right now. And it's all because of Josh and my stupidity. When I got home, I put on the coffee and sat there wondering what happened to their conversation. How long will it be before Tony comes home? Will he yell at me? Can I save our marriage? I need it. I don't want to live without Tony, and he needs to know that he is the only one I love and want in my life. I went back to the table and chatted with Josh. Well, it looks like Jen won't be coming back, and I just wanted to chat with you. I'm sure you know that Jen still has feelings for you and is easily manipulated, as you have seen both today and over the past few weeks. But you have to understand that she is married to me, and I am not going to share with her. I'm not a possessive or reckless person, so today I'll give Jen a choice. Stay in our marriage or leave me for you, but not together. She will make this decision on her own, without your influence. May the best man win, and if she wants you, then so be it. But if she wants to stay in our marriage, she will no longer contact you. If you don't hear from her today, I'll expect you to never call or text her again. Do you understand what I am talking about? Listen, dude, I'll call or text her whenever I want. She is a grown woman and makes her own decisions. She doesn't belong to you. I can guarantee one thing, she will be with me again eventually. She can't resist the memories of our sex with her. Sorry, but you'll have to live with it, he said again, with the same smirk. Oh, Josh, I hope you will be a reasonable person. I mean, you're a handsome guy, big and muscular. I'm sure there are hundreds of single women who would love to have you. Why can't guys like you just leave married women alone? You see, Josh, you may be a big macho, nice guy to whom Jen still has feelings, but you underestimate me. Look, Josh, you don't know what I do for a living or who I hang out with, and that, my friend, is your first mistake. I know everything about you and what you did. By the way, how are your parents, Michael and Ingrid? They really love their 2 dogs, Casey and Mickey, don't they? You know it's been over 4 years since you saw your sister Kate in Austin, and her 3 daughters are getting older and would love to see their Uncle Josh. Oh, and your best friend Billy's girlfriend is pregnant and having a boy. I don't think she's told him yet, but I'm sure he'll be delighted. I read all your text messages to Jen, and I have to say that you are persistent. Look, you may be a big dangerous dude, but the friends I have in my work are ruthless and owe me a lot. Now I grinned at him. Like you said, she can't resist you, but tonight we'll see who's the better man. Does she want a macho loser like you, or will she stay true to our 5-year marriage? See, Josh, I'm going to be objective. I'll give her a choice. Her choice will be simple. She can choose to be with you and leave me and our marriage, and if that is her choice, I will respect it and wish you both the best. I will not live with a woman who wants another man, and I will not share her. It will hurt. But I'd rather let her go now and move on. Now, on the other hand, if she decides to remain faithful, there will be some changes for her after her trick with you today. You two have damaged my level of trust, and it will need to be restored. As for you, if she stays with me, you won't contact her anymore. This means no text messages, no emails, no phone calls, and no contact with friends. You will disappear from her life. If you walk into a restaurant and see her there, you will turn and walk away. If you're at a party or a club and you see her, you'll leave. You will not do anything behind my back or try to contact her because the pain you will experience will be like nothing you have experienced before. Your loved ones will pay for your stupidity. Do you understand what I said? Do you understand how serious I am? Josh sat there with a stunned expression on his face, not knowing what to think. How the hell do you know so much about my family and my life? Like I said, I have a lot of friends who owe me a favor, and those friends are not the people you want to get involved with. I may seem like a meek guy, but let's just say there's more to me than what you see. Are you really going to offer her a chance to leave you for me? I am a man of my word. Yes, if she were any other woman who showed me such disrespect as she did with you today, I would have kicked her out and ruined her already. But I love this woman, and I will give her one chance, and one chance only. If you are right and she cannot resist you, then by midnight tonight she will contact you and be yours. The other choice is to forget you, keep my wedding vows, and remain my faithful wife. If she stays with me, you will be dead to her, and you will no longer interfere in our marriage. Tony, I hope you keep your word about letting us live in peace, because I think she will want to be with me. That's what she told me, and I know how much she wants me, Josh said, trying to sound confident and responsible. This guy was cocky, but I had to wonder if he was right. I'll find out soon enough. I got up to leave and said, I hope I never have to hear your name again, or do anything I'd rather not do. But we'll see soon. As I was leaving, the man in the shadows stood up, gave Josh a long, angry look, and then left a minute after me. Josh received a message that I had a bodyguard and that he may have misclassified me as an innocent, meek husband. I drove home wondering if this woman I loved so much would ever be in my bed again. Will she choose him and leave me? Or will she remain true to her vows? When I entered the house, it was quiet. She sat nervously at the kitchen table, drinking coffee with tears in her eyes. I poured myself a cup and sat down at the table opposite her. Jen, I know everything, including all your text messages to Josh. Before you ask me how I know, just keep in mind that I have a lot of friends from my business relationships who owe me several favors, and these are people you'd rather not meet. Now, I know you're sorry, so please don't say anything because it's meaningless to me at the moment. You betrayed my love, and today you did something that I never expected and never thought you were capable of. By putting him in front of me today, you showed your disrespect for me as your husband. You know me, and I will not live with a woman who does not respect me, our vows, and the sanctity of our marriage. You know there are a lot of people who think that the definition of a cheating spouse is only when the spouse sleeps with her lover. Some people think that kissing is not cheating. But in my world, the mere thought of being with another man is a lie. Kisses and caresses go far beyond deception and are unacceptable. The conversations you had with Josh, the sexy dress you wore without a bra, exposing yourself. Your suggestion is that you come without panties. The way you sat together, holding hands. In my eyes, all this separately, and especially all together, is treason. You gave your love and attention to a man outside of our marriage. Yes, obviously there was no kissing, and that is the only reason we are still communicating and having this conversation. You should know that I will never share you with anyone, and I will not put up with a cheating wife. I know how close you were with Josh, and I understand that you still have feelings for him. However, I also know that you are married to me, and I can tell you without a doubt that I will not share you with him or anyone else. The reason I haven't kicked you out yet is because I love you madly and will do anything to keep us together. However, before I go any further, I have a question, and don't lie, as I may already know the answer. While you were sitting with him without panties, did he touch you? Has he or anyone else in our marriage ever touched you there? No, I swear, never. No one has ever done this. Only you. But you were willing to let him do it today, am I right? She lowered her head and began to cry again. I don't know. I didn't mean to do this. No, I'm so sorry about all of this. I'm such an idiot. Please forgive my stupidity, Tony. Well, if he had touched you there, this conversation would have been over. It appears that Other than a few handshakes and a few text messages, nothing happened to end our marriage, although I am disappointed in your actions. Tell me, why did you wear this dress, flaunting your charms? Tell me the truth, did you plan to seduce him and get him into bed? Oh God, no. I would never do this. It's hard to explain, but I just wanted to look sexy for him and relive some of my old feelings. I know it was stupid and I was being selfish, but he just has a way of getting me to do things. I never intended to sleep with him. You have to believe me. Jen, I want to believe it, but everything you did today brings me to a serious question that I want answered. I told you that I would never share you with another man. I also will not marry a woman who is in love with another man and wants to be with him. I'm going to give you a choice, and I want you to think carefully about it, because once you choose, I will never again accept betrayal or disrespect from you. I know you love me, and I understand your past feelings for Josh, which is why I'm going to give you a choice. I want you to choose between Josh and your marriage. If you want to be with him, I will let you go. I will treat you fairly in the divorce and allow you both to live in safety without any retaliation. Or you can stay in our marriage, remain faithful to me, and honor your wedding vows. A simple choice with long-term consequences. Now, if you choose Josh, I will ask you to leave the house with your belongings by the weekend, and I will immediately begin divorce proceedings. If you want to stay married, you will not be involved with Josh again. Not today, not ever. This means he will be dead to you. I then proceeded to lay out the same demands I had told Josh, to never be in the same place at the same time, and what I would know if that happened. She agreed without any hesitation. So Jen, today you have a get-out-of-jail card. This opportunity comes once in a lifetime. You have to choose between your ex-lover and your loving husband. I'm going to take a shower, and when I get back, I need an answer. Choose wisely. More before I left the kitchen, she blurted out, "Of course I choose you, honey. I love you and don't want anyone else." Jen, you betrayed me today. I heard what you just said, but I want you to sit here for a while and think about it carefully. If we stay married, you will need to rebuild the trust we once had. You will also need to help me overcome the pain and anger you have caused, which will not be easy. Take your time and give me your answer after I get back. Given your actions today and your feelings for Josh, this is too big a decision for you to just make without some deep inner reflection, I said, leaving her crying with her head in her hands. I took my time showering and getting dressed, and when I returned to the kitchen, she ran up to me, hugged me, and kissed me. "Tony, I will never leave you, and I will never do anything like that again. I promise I will make it up to you and be the perfect wife. I'm your wife, and I want your children, so please don't leave me. You are the only man in my life." "I love you," she said, kissing me and holding me tighter than ever before. We kissed and hugged each other for a few minutes, and then I carried her to our bed and had my wife back. My anger drove my actions as I sexually assaulted this beautiful woman, and she gave herself completely to me. "I love you, Tony. Please take me." Then she pulled me closer and kissed me tenderly. I made love to her for a long time, and with ecstasy. We reached sweet heights together, and then hugged each other silently for an hour until the world around us faded away. We were husband and wife again, and we both knew that nothing would ever come between us again. The next day, Josh reflected, "Crap. She didn't call me, so I guess she decided to stay with this idiot. I cannot believe this. The way we got along and the way she acted really made me think she would want to stay with me. I know that if I had been able to get her into bed that day, she would have left Tony in a heartbeat. As soon as I can do this, she will be mine again. Her husband really ruined my plans. Who is this guy and how does he know so much about me and my family? Well, I'm not done yet, and I think I can get her back. Sorry, Tony, but you're going to lose this girl." A few days later, idiot Josh finally got the idea to text Jen, trying to convince her to leave me and be with him, which didn't surprise me. The good news was that Jenna showed me a text message and didn't respond to it. I told her that I had already seen his message and was glad she didn't respond, and told her that showing me the text was a smart step towards repairing our trust issues. The next day I texted Josh asking if his parents had managed to find Casey and Mickey. Josh immediately called his parents and found out how hurt they were when they discovered they were missing. Josh realized he had hurt them by getting involved with Jen after Tony warned him not to. I made them disappear for a few days, under good supervision, just so Josh knew how serious I was. Josh called me back right after talking with his parents. "What the hell? What did you do? They better be alive, or I swear I'll kill you, you bastard." "Well, Josh, you won't be able to kill anyone. If anyone is going to die, it's you, my friend. I warned you not to mess with Jen, but you did. I also told you that if you get involved with her, you will feel pain like you've never felt before. The first time it's just a little shake-up. Now I'm sure the dogs will be back soon. But let me be clear, this is your last warning. Never contact Jen again. Have I made myself clear? Yes, but they better come back in good shape. Josh, because you ignored my words, I will do whatever the hell I think is necessary, and you will have to deal with the results of my actions. Now, since you just threatened me, they may come back in good shape, or they may not come back at all. I haven't decided yet, but your tone doesn't make me feel merciful. In fact, now I'm not even sure they'll come back. How does that sound, idiot? I wonder if Mom and Dad should know why their precious puppies went missing. Maybe I should call them. What do you think about this, idiot? Okay, I'm sorry. Please return them and I will stay away, I promise. That's better. But next time, it won't be the dogs that disappear. Do you understand what I'm getting at? Accepted, I understand. I promise, I will stay out of her life and you won't hear from me again. So when will they be back? They'll just be home soon. Josh, you know I'm 1,000 miles away. I can't control everything and these people I'm involved with have their own opinions, but I'll talk to them and see what I can do. Josh, I really hope we never have to have a conversation again, because next time we don't, you'll be dealing with much bigger issues. At 3 o'clock the next night, Josh's distraught parents cried tears of joy as their beloved dogs barked on their porch. They never knew what happened, where they were, or that it was their son who hurt them. Josh heard the news and was relieved when the dogs returned. He even sent me a one-word message after we returned them that said, "Thank you." Josh finally realized the situation, stayed away from Jen, and found a job in another city several hours away. He tried to find out more about Tony, but was never able to find out more than the public information that Tony was just a financial advisor. Josh realized that the information about Tony was sealed and decided to move on and start a new life without his old flame. As long as Josh was alive, I knew there was a chance he could come back into her life. So 2 weeks after the incident, I gave Jen a post-nuptial agreement prepared by my lawyer. According to her, she agreed to give up everything, including the rights to all children born to us during our marriage, due to any infidelity. Of course, it couldn't prevent a repeat of her last encounter with Josh, but she had enough incentive to think about the consequences. Between my new attention to her and her realization that I will constantly check in on her, along with the post-nuptial agreement, we will weather any future storms that may come our way. About a year later, Jen became pregnant with their first child, and the couple were now closer than ever. Jen realized how close she was to ruining her life and dedicated herself to making Tony happy and strengthening her family. No one mentioned Josh anymore, and it was as if he never existed. One day could have broken everything forever, but Tony's love and attitude towards Crap saved their marriage. Subscribe to our channel so that your second chaff doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one.